Hi everybody, my name is Bryan Winter. I am the owner of now a chain of retail stores here in the Madison area called I'm Board Games and Family Fun. Our closest location to this location is our Middleton store. It's about a 10-minute drive away. And 2 weeks ago tomorrow, I opened a second location in Sun Prairie. So I have the town bookended right now, and I'm a little tired. Can everyone hear me okay? I'm not a podium guy. All right, good. So I am here to talk to you about the retail side of things. Is anyone familiar with my store? A couple of you? Awesome. Well, hopefully I don't embarrass myself. All right, so some things to note about me and what we're going to talk about today. I've been involved in just about every aspect of this industry from the 80s. I was a game retailer in college. I was a game designer for several years. I'm published. I worked in the manufacturing side. I worked in the distribution side. I now own a store. I know this industry, I think, pretty well. That doesn't mean I'm an expert on everything. All right, I want to go into that. I know a lot of you are here to talk about Kickstarter. Who's here to talk about Kickstarter? All right, who's not here to talk about Kickstarter? Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about both things, retail and Kickstarter things. But for those of you who aren't, I have backed well over 100 Kickstarter projects for my store. If you looked up my account, it's probably around 150, but I think probably 125 of those are for my store. I am not offering you any answers today. I am offering you my opinions, all right? My opinions are mine. They are not shared necessarily with other retailers, the game industry, distributors. This is me talking about the things that I think are important, okay? So you take everything I say with as much salt as you want. That being said, I do know that several of my retailer peers share a lot of my opinions. So we chat. All right. So, and there's a couple times here that you may not like to hear what I'm going to say today. You know, hopefully I'm not out there deflating balloons, but it's an interesting time in the games industry right now, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about games in my store, all right? I have very basic needs for a game in my store. Put your game's name on at least 5 sides of the box, including the front and the back. You laugh. I have had games with no logo on the front, just on the sides. I've had games with no logo anywhere. The front, the back, the sides, it's just pictures. The people thought they were being clever, and what they were doing is they were ensuring that, A, I didn't remember the name of your game. I'm not facing it face out. I'm going to face it spine out because I want people to see the name, and I'm just not going to reorder it because I forgot about it. Put a barcode on your product, no exceptions. Do it. I don't care if it's one that you make up on the internet and it says Bob's Cool Game. When you beep it in, put a barcode on there. Buy barcodes. All right, there's services out there that will do that. Don't cheap out on your packaging. All right, stay away. I'll get to that in a second. But don't waste your budget on too much packaging. Okay, have good sturdy components, good sturdy cardboard. You know, but don't feel like you need to insert like, you know, blown in, vacuum trays and all that kind of stuff. That's all super nice and people like that stuff, but nobody knows about it except people you've already talked to. I mean, you know, no one knows about it until they open the game up and then you've already got them. So think about your budgets that way. Shelf presence. So, this is, you know, cheaping out on packaging. If you have a card game, don't say that, oh, well, I can put it in a little bicycle playing card form factor tuck box, and that's going to be cheap and awesome. That is going to get lost on my shelves. It's not going to be seen by the customers. It's, you know, give yourself some presence. Put a little air in that box so the box is a little bigger. Fox in the Forest, Bonanza, every Game Right card game. But careful you don't go too crazy and sell a big box of air. You know, you open it up and there's just a pack of cards. If it's this big and there's a pack of cards, that's got value. If it's this big and there's a pack of cards, there's a line. There's a psychological line, and I wish I knew exactly what it was. Show off your game, not just your cool art. People are buying a game, they're not buying your art. The art will help them, but the game is what they're buying. And what are they buying? Fun, experience, okay? Most people don't care about, well, this is a worker placement game with, some people care about that. Most people just want something that's fun. And can I do a back-of-the-box demo? Okay, so I brought some visual aids. What does a back-of-the-box demo mean? Uh-oh. HDMI problems. There we go. Don't touch the table. So, Azul. Who knows about this game? Who doesn't know about this game? All right. This game won the Spiel des Jahres. I probably obliterated it. Who knows what the Spiel is? Who doesn't know what the Spiel is? Find that out. Google that. If you're in the games industry, you need to know what the Spiel is. It's the German Game of the Year award. It's the best picture Oscar in our industry. This just won it. This is a game about picking tiles up from a factory floor and sticking them on a wall without dropping them on the floor. That's the theme of Azul. This game is incredibly difficult to explain to someone coming in my door saying, so what's it? I said, no, Azul, Game of the Year. And they go, what's it about? I said, it's about putting tiles on a wall. What does that mean? Well, okay. And then you go to the back of the box. And the back of the box shows the game. It shows it in a game state. It might show a couple of game states. If you have the real estate to do that, all right? So that I can pick it up and I can, okay, well, you see, here's factories here, and you're going to pick tiles up, and they're going to go on this board, and I'm not going to explain the game to you, but like that, okay? I am going to explain this game. Quirkle. Who's heard of Quirkle? Classic, right? This is a slightly older package. This is my like gold standard for back-of-the-box demoing, okay? First of all, it's got a little window that shows the tiles. They're wooden, they're big. Oh, showing the components. How cool. In the back, I'm going to teach you how to play this game. So Quirkle is a game just like Scrabble, but instead of rows and columns of words, you have rows and columns of these like properties of these colored shapes. So here you have a column of red and a row of squares. Now imagine all these loose tiles are my rack. Okay, I can take these two blue tiles and I can put the blue circle here and I can put the blue cloverleaf here, and I'm going to score 4 points this way in blue and 4 points this way, or this way in blue and 4 points this way in circles, and I can never have more than 6. I can never have a repeat in a line. So like this red tile here can't go in the red line because there's 6 already. There's a repeat there, and that's a Quirkle, and that's extra points. I just taught that game in 30 seconds. If you're a real customer, I don't go that fast. Okay, so back of the box demo. It shows the game. Show your game. Okay, show off the art, show off the things. One of the worst offenders, in my opinion, personal opinion, is a game called Mr. Jack. If anyone knows what Mr. Jack is, cool 2-player deduction game. If you turn the back of the box over, in the top corner is a picture of the game board. You can barely see it. And over here is the same paragraph in 17 languages. And I get that, international game, but it doesn't do, that game needs to be sold. That game is not bought. Does that difference make sense to you? You know, right? That game is relying on me to interject and say, here's why you like this, or you might like this. As opposed to someone picking up and going, I think I'll like this. In that scenario, it's often not going to happen. Okay. So a lot of what I'm going to talk to you about is about backing Kickstarters. All right, now if you're not familiar with Kickstarter, it's a crowdfunding medium. It came, it exploded about 3 years ago. And a lot of first-timers like yourselves see that as a way to get their product to market. And by and large, yes, that's true. It's becoming crowded because everybody, there's more people in this room here this year than last year. All right, everybody's seeing like I can do it too. We could put on a show. We'll use my dad's barn. My mom will make costumes. Right? Everyone can kind of get their game to market these days. So I'm going to tell you why I will do that. Why I will bring your game into my store. So I'm going to talk in terms of Kickstarter, but this can fairly easily be extrapolated into the real world of why I would bring your game in anyway. All right. And a little later on is the most important slides where we talk about finances. All right. So if you're going to go through Kickstarter, very quickly, I want to get through this one, and we can have some Q&A at the end here. If you have a project on Kickstarter and you want a retailer to get involved in it, I need to be able to sell. So what I want to do is I want to tell my customers back through me, because there's a lot of people who don't Kickstart. They don't want to tie their money up. They don't trust you. They don't want to, they just don't, whatever reasons, they don't want their information out there. So I'll take that risk, okay? So, but I want to be able to sell the same product with all the same stretch goals, with all the same add-ons, shipping at the same time, and at the same price you sell it for. We're going to talk a lot about this one. All right, so what does it mean? I expect to have the same stretch goals, the same access to the add-ons. I only buy the copies, but only the copies that I'm backing, right? So if you've got a Kickstarter and you've got all these add-ons and stretch goals and exclusives and things like that, I want that too for the things that I buy during the Kickstarter program, but I don't expect that for the life of the party, right? If I get my 6 or my 8 copies or my 4 copies or whatever, my 24 copies, my 48 copies that I've done sometimes, then I want to get all that stuff during that special time, because I have customers who have asked me to do that for them, and I expect to be able to get that stuff. But later on, after that sells through and you're in distribution, I don't expect privileges after that. I'll buy the regular things. The early birds get the worms. I'm happy to help dish those worms out. All right. Don't overcomplicate your program. Retailer exclusives are nice, but I really only want the same thing everybody else gets. If everybody's getting the same thing, then nobody's complaining. Okay? Write that down. If everybody gets the same thing, nobody's complaining. People are still going to complain. They will, but, okay? So keep that in mind. And if you have add-ons, like you can also buy the expansion ahead of time or the special painted figures or the whatever, I expect to be able to buy those as well, up to as many copies of the core games that I bought. If I'm buying 6 copies of the core game, I expect to be able to buy up to 6 copies of each of the add-ons, okay? Shipping at the same time, I don't need special treatment. I don't need to have it first. It'd be nice. But I don't want to be last. I don't, we'll ship the retailer copies after we send all the real backers, all right, the more important backers. I'm not an idiot. You make more money off of those people than you do through me, okay? But I give you the opportunity for exposure, repeated sales, long-term goal, that kind of stuff, okay? So I don't need it first. I would rather not have it last. Just put it in the line along with everybody else, and I get it when I get it. And if some people get it sooner than me, some get it later, then everybody's happy. Everyone gets the same thing, and nobody complains. I expect that you'll expect me to purchase case quantities. That's fine. You have to buy them in 4s or 6s, all right? As long as those case quantities are reasonable. And reasonable is 4s and 6s. 10s, 20s, 12s. Like, I'm a big store. I can often do 12. But I'd rather buy 3 4-packs or 2 6-packs than 1 12-pack, because there's a lot of retailers out there who are not my size, and they can't turn 12 copies. All right? They got to be able to sell these things. So it's okay. I'm not afraid to pay for reasonable shipping. All right? You'll hear free shipping. I want free shipping. You'll hear it from customers a lot. Shipping is reasonable as long as my margin is taken care of, and we'll talk about that in a second. And for the love of God, don't cheap out on your shipping packaging. Yes?
So do you find that you have a larger percentage of damages, dig and dents with Kickstarter games than you do with more traditional?
The question is, do I find that I have more damages with Kickstarter copies? Yes, but if there's an asterisk there, yes, because I'm getting those things directly. When I buy direct from Kickstarter or GameRight or some other companies, then yes, I will have more damages because there's no middle person checking for that. For things that I get through distribution, if I get a damaged product, then that means someone else didn't do their job, okay? But honestly, the more you spend on your packaging, the less damages you're going to deal with. I mean, it's expensive to have thicker boxes and those little those little L-shaped corner cardboard things that go in there. But man, I open I open it up and it's like, unless it's been hit by a forklift, and that happens, then it's just they're in beautiful, pristine condition. And I'm not calling you, and you're not sending more, and you're not doing your backstocks, and blah, blah, blah. All right. Same price. This is the big one, okay? This is what I'm here to really talk to you about, is pricing. Does everybody here understand the game industry pricing norms? If you don't, you need to school up, all right? I am expecting to buy your product. Oops, sorry, I hit the mic. I'm expecting to buy your product somewhere between 40 to 50% off of your manufactured retail price. So let's go $50. I'm expecting to buy it for 25 to 28 or so. Okay? 45 to 50 is kind of where we're going. Now, we talked about shipping. If I have to pay shipping in addition to that, like, you know, in a dream world, I'm getting 50% off and free shipping. We don't live in a dream world. I'm a realist, right? But if I'm getting 50% off plus shipping, and that shipping is reasonable, you know, case quantities and things like that, $10 per case, or, you know, in a case of 4, so my shipping is $2 per game, $2.50 per game, I can live with that. Distributors are looking at 50 to 60% off, probably more like 60% off. Freight and shipping are serious factors. Free freight levels are expected. You know, if I'm buying $500 worth of games from you, I expect a kickback in the shipping. And distributors are definitely going to say that, okay? And this is all based on the price at which you are selling your product, not the MSRP that you said it was. All right. So before I get into this, is this surprising to anybody? Okay. Good. Huh? Distributors will case quantities. Yeah, I mean, that, you know, you may have a minimum. You have to buy at least 6 cases, and then they'll go okay or no, yes or no. Depends on how much in demand your game is. You know, the more in demand, the more you have to say, you know, to the table. But you know, they're in the catbird seat. You know, they know that you're the one who wants to get their stuff. So you need to be accommodating in that aspect. You know, I am not a distributor. I've worked in distribution, but not in the financial side of it. So I really am not qualified to accurately answer your question. But that is my anecdotal sort of knowledge. Yeah. Some cases are usually expected. Okay. So if you have so when you look at cost of your manufacturing, your artists, your legal fees, your, you know, pushing the print button, your graphic designers, you know, your time, right? There is a general rule. I'm going to put this in giant curly quotes, but it's the 5 times rule. Does everyone know what the 5 times rule is? Is if your game's MSRP should be 5 times your cost. So if your cost is $10, your game's MSRP is $50. Okay? And that's going to take care of me and distributors and legal fees, and you're building in profit. And we're going to talk about profit because that's why you're really here today.
What is the cost you mean?
The cost is your cost to actually have it made. So, yep, everything. So whatever it took to get that pallet of stuff to your front door is your cost. And whatever, and then you divvy that up, divided by the number of games, that's the cost per game. Multiply that by 5, curly quotes, that's the MSRP.
Because it depends on so many things, like how many you have manufactured.
Yep.
How do you just, like, but the MSRP is going to be kind of the same, should be the same forever.
Yes. Yes, I will. So the question was how do I know what the MSRP is going to be because I really don't know what the cost is going to be because I don't know how many I'm going to print, and you get into this chicken and egg thing. And my answer to that is, and I'm just a retailer, is decide, okay? Build in this much, okay? Build in 1,000 copies, all right? My cost is based on 1,000 copies. And if you end up printing 5,000 copies, profit. Okay? Eat it. Take it. You've earned it. All right? Base it on whatever sort of, you know, benchmark you feel is important. Okay? And I need to know that, right? There's a slide coming up. I'll get to it when I get to it, that addresses some of this. But you need to, before you push that button and say, okay, I'm going to sell this game, you need to have all those things decided. And yeah, you have to take some risks, right? The wonderful thing about Kickstarter is it eliminates a lot of risk. It eliminates, oh, I see what's happening. It eliminates the put all your money in yourself and get loans and things like that, all right? You guys are in a wonderful position right now, because if you put a game out there and it doesn't fund, guess what? You're fine. You haven't put any money into it, except for your time and effort, right? And some initial costs and prototyping and blah, blah, blah. But finding a loan to print 5,000 copies of something or giving that money, you don't have to worry about any of that, all right? And if people, and you have to remember, and this isn't hard to do, because you want your game in people's hands. You desperately want your game in people's hands, but if everybody says, no, realize that that is a good thing. And you have saved yourself time, effort, money, and now you can move on to the next thing because you've been working on this one for so much, you're sick and tired of it. I've been in game design. Okay, so let me move on. Perceived value, okay? So it doesn't matter what you say the MSRP is. If you're selling it for a different cost, that's the value of the game. So if you put it on Kickstarter for 50 bucks, you say the MSRP is 50 bucks, but for Kickstarter backers, you could have it for 40 bucks, you have just sold a $40 game. You are telling the consumer, my game is actually worth $40, okay? And later on, when it gets into retail, and because of things, and it's gone into distribution, and it really is 50 bucks, and people in the know look at it and go, oh, these guys have it for 50 bucks. Guess who looks like the big jerk? All right, so, and I'll get a little bit more in this. Discounting lowers the perceived value of your game. Why would you want to devalue your own product? Your product has value, your product has worth. Own the value of your product. Embrace the value of your product. Yes?
Is the value based on just that initial purchase through Kickstarter, or if you re-up for more copies later on?
The question is does the value maintain itself over time as you reprint and things like that, right? Does that basically say? Yes. Yeah, so when you're planning on printing that game, you have to think about, you're not printing, I don't want you guys thinking about printing a game. I want you guys to think about reprinting a game, okay? You got to make enough money so that if it's popular, you can tell the printer, push the button again, and you can pay them without going back to the Kickstarter well or the loan or whatever like that. Because as soon as you go back to Kickstarter for a reprint money, you've got a failed product. I'm sorry, you do, all right? You messed up somewhere. There are exceptions. Gloomhaven, all right? That's because it's just so popular, and you hope to have that problem, all right? Now, look at CMON, Cool Mini or Not. They do a lot of big things, lots of boxes and miniatures and add-ons and crazy stuff. They sell their stuff, the kit is $100. It's $100, and it's always $100, okay? And it's $100 for this big box full of junk, and if you back it, you get all this other stuff in another box, but it's still $100. And then when it eventually goes to retail and you don't get all that extra stuff, guess how much that regular box costs? $100. They have said that this game is worth this much. Early birds were giving you extras. Good for you. And I want those extras, and I buy them, all right? I do a lot of Cool Mini Kickstarters, and I have a lot of very happy customers because of it. Because they don't have to tie in, you know, $700 into for a year. I can do that. Okay, so you are offering the following advantages to your Kickstarter backers. You are offering them an early copy. You have no idea how valuable that is in their mind. I get it first. You're gamers. I'm a gamer. I know gamers. You get it before everybody else. Oh, all right? Or they get it at all. There's a very good chance that your stuff doesn't end up in distribution. It's a one and done. You made your thing, you sent it out, everybody's happy, it's not coming back. I got one. That has value. You are adding stretch goals and add-ons and exclusivities for this first-time thing. That has tremendous value. I have a widget that you are not going to have when you buy it 6 months from now in the retail shelf because I got it first. That has tremendous value. So you don't need to discount your game any further. You've already given them so much. And but I want them to buy it. Well, then charge them cost. Everyone has it. You made no money. You probably lost money, but everyone has your game. That's not good business. All right? That's vanity. You're not here to be vanity. You're here to be Prince. I made that up. Okay. 80s joke. All right. So, money on the table. Simple truth is your customer will purchase your product if they want it. You're gamers. I want that game. I'm going to have that game. If I don't want it, they're not going to buy it. Okay? Sure, there are people, but you should give me a discount because I'm taking a chance on you. You owe me something for investing in you. You owe them the thing that you are giving them for a price. Okay? They want it or they don't. A lot of them have been emboldened by all the other projects that did say, oh yeah, more people will buy this if I do 20% off, so everyone has to do that, and that's the rule. You will hear that a lot in the circles. Well, everybody does it, so I should too. Don't jump off that same bridge. Beware the Board Game Geek echo chamber. Who doesn't know what Board Game Geek is? Good. JT does not know what Board Game Geek is. It's a pretty cool site, a lot of resources. I love Board Game Geek. I am not ragging on Board Game Geek, okay? It is a wonderful resource. You can find anything there. You can do great research there, but it is an echo chamber. Once you get into the weeds of Board Game Geek, you will find three kinds of people, true experts. If you can pull the ear of Jamie Stegmaier, awesome. Listen to what he has to say. You have a lot of people who think they're experts and will tell you this is how it needs to be done. Okay? They don't know that. And then there are people who just, who are just greedy. Okay? One second. So there's people who think, in order for you to be successful, listen to everything I have to say because I've done this 6 times, right? Or you have people that's like, I want a discount and you should give it to me because I deserve it. Listen to those people with big chunks of salt. All right? It's a wonderful resource. But so the game industry is like this, okay? The alpha gamers on Board Game Geek who are very engaged in games, in the game industry and mechanics and things like that, are a small sliver of that pie, okay? Most people are not engaged in mechanics and things like that. Most people who come into my store they're not buying that. They're buying fun. You got something that's fun? What's fun? I hear that every day. Fun. What's fun? We're out of fun stuff. I make that joke. It kills. Yes.
All right, so Jamie Stegmaier's been off Kickstarter for 3 years now. If you don't follow his blog, it's fantastic. I was literally just emailing him, and he sent me a series of links. The current one on his blog is, if I return to Kickstarter, here's how I would do it.
Yeah.
And he lists step by step everything that he's learned over the years, and I find him a fantastic expert. I'm glad that you brought him.
So Jamie is amazing. Jamie used Kickstarter the way Kickstarter is intended to kickstart his company. He has a game called Scythe, which is very popular. He used Kickstarter to get that off the road, and now he is a successful game publisher because he built in the profit and all that kind of stuff into his initial product. He's done double-digit reprints on it, and yeah. So Jamie's great. You should figure out a way to share that.
It's stonemeiergames.com.
Yeah, if you Stonemaier, Stonemeier, M-A-I-E-R, write it down, Google it later. So what you guys all need to do here is be a business. All right? A successful business does not collect revenue. A successful business makes a profit. Okay? There are famous Kickstarters out there that they sold $1.4 million worth of stuff and lost money. Okay? Gone out of business. 6-digit in revenue. Went out of business. Couldn't fulfill it. Okay? So let's do math. You have a $50 product and it costs you $10 to produce. Hopefully that number is not surprising you. And you have 1,000 backers. That is $50,000 of revenue. Okay? You sell, so $50,000 and it's $10,000 of your cost, $50,000 in revenue. You sell direct to those backers. You have a $40,000 profit. Okay? You give them a 20% discount. Now you have a $30,000 profit. You've just thrown away $10,000. But you say, but that extra 20% off has made me grow. You know, if I didn't have that, I would have 800 backers. No, you won't. But okay, let's say you do. You only sell 800 copies. That's still $30,000 in profit. Do the math. Okay? Well, here it is. Still, so that, you know, you get the same profit from less people. Your game has less exposure. It's less popular. And it was more work, and you devalued your, and I'm less likely to buy it now because I have to explain why I'm selling your $40 game for $50. Profit, okay? I am in business to sell games, but I have a mortgage, and I have kids to go to college. I need profit. I don't need revenue. I need extra, and so do you. You need to have enough money to do the next thing. All right, if possible. Now, inject me into the industry. I buy your game directly for 25 bucks. You sell it, I sell it for 50. I'm happy. You've made $15 profit per game. Not too shabby. Distributors will buy it for 20, $10 profit per game, but they're buying in quantities, right? So that guy bought one copy, and you made 40 bucks off of him. And the distributor is buying, let's say, 48 copies, and you made $480 off of them, or whatever it is, okay? You get much better exposure when you're out there, when you're in my store. I can talk about it. I can talk you up. There's a lot of people who don't know what Kickstarter is. How many people don't know what Kickstarter is? Okay, good. JT does not know. You don't need to know. Long tail sales, chance to become an evergreen. Oh, you know, while companies are throwing spaghetti against the wall, I am selling hundreds of copies of Sushi Go and Pandemic and Ticket to Ride. And those have been in print for ages, right? And everyone's happy. We want everybody to be happy. Know your details up front. This is what we talked about a little earlier. When you tell me that you'll let me know what the retailer terms are after the campaign is over, and I have heard this more than 4 times, you are actually telling me these things. You do not yet know what your actual costs are, or you haven't decided what they are. You did not do your homework. You probably have not built in enough profit. I probably won't be backing you or bringing your game in, direct or whatever. I won't be expecting you to show up in distribution because when you say, I don't know how much my thing is actually going to cost yet, that is a giant red flag. That is a Les Mis red flag for you theater people. All right. Well, yeah, I did that. Okay. Here's an example of exactly what I'm looking for. If you go to Kickstarter and you look Vast Mystery Manor, they have a wonderful Kickstarter where you get a game and an expansion for $75. The game is $75. The expansion is free. I buy it for 50% off, $75. I get the expansion free. Sorry, I keep hitting the microphone. I get all the stretch goals. It ships at the same time. I can purchase them in lots of 4. I can get $10 per case shipping in the US, know about international shipping, know about VAT, things like that. And I only had to put down $5. I would have gladly put up 50. I would put up $100. I think I ordered 48 copies of this game. All right, just for my store. That's all I'm looking for. And the reason he or she was able to do this is because he built up, he put the profit in, he figured out this is the number, all right? And that's the value of his game. And his expansion is a $40 value, but he's giving it away for free as an add-on. So later on, when I sell it for $40, it still has a $40 value because he didn't sell it for $0. He gave it to you as an add-on bonus. Value, perceived value. But, here's the but. This is not an inaccurate number. Somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000, it's probably closer to 5,000, things came out this year. Last year it was 3,500. That is 10, 15, 20 a day. All right? If you come into my store, and I encourage you all to do so, we have a new stuff rack, and I can't keep a thing on the new stuff rack for longer than a week. So what is happening right now? New stuff comes into my store, people notice it, they buy it, it goes over there, and the honeymoon's over. That's it. I put it on the shelf. I don't, people aren't looking at it anymore because something else has come in. We retailers, and I'm in Facebook groups with the retailers, we talk about this often. We are drowning in product right now. It's a great time to be a game retailer because I have lots of choice, but 7 years ago when I opened it and I could realistically put everything in my store, I am getting very selective about what I'm putting in my store these days. Having a good game is not enough anymore. You need to have a great game to make it onto my shelves. And that is a hard, hard truth. And this is where I take the pin and I poke your balloon. But if your game is not great, it needs to be. It just needs to be. There are companies that are finally getting the clue. They're putting out less product. Some of them are not. And there's a lot of scared money out there. I'll just say it. All right, there's scared money out there. A company will put out 4 products in a 6-10 month period with very meager print runs, and they sell through, and then we wait 6 months for a reprint, and now it's out of everybody's mind and things like that. I would much rather they pick their one best game, print 4 times as much of it, and let me have something that sits on my shelves for longer than 2 weeks. Okay? Now, this is more advanced. Hopefully, this is a problem you will have. But mostly, go to my store. I think I have a pretty good store. Hopefully, those of you who've been there will agree with me. I have a lot of stuff. Go to the section in my store where your product would live and look at everything else. Why is your game going to make it onto that shelf? What makes it special enough to fill up that real estate? What's it going to replace? This is a better version of Azul. Well, okay, I'll get fewer Azuls and I'll put that game in its spot. Okay, I don't need your product. And that's a hard thing to hear, but I don't. I have lots of other things to sell. You need to make me want your product. Okay, I don't need it. I don't need products from Wizards of the Coast. I don't need products from Asmodee. All right? There are products that they make that I don't have because I don't need them right now. Okay? So that's a hard thing to hear. And that's my big message for you today, unfortunately. But yeah, but now, the one-shot business model works. If you make a thing, put it on Kickstarter, you print it, you make a little bit of money, you make a new thing, you put it on Kickstarter, you make a little bit of money, that works. That's a business plan. Make a business plan, all of you. It works. You're never going to get exposure. You're never going to get big. You're going to have a progressively diminishing segment of customers that will keep buying from you over time, and they get smaller. So think bigger, but this works. So yes.
When you are selecting something from your store, I'm guessing that you're not thinking about what you personally like, but you're thinking about what you know your customers like. And could you talk a little bit more about that? Like,
what's my decision process? There are games that I would love to have on my shelves. I love Blood Bowl. It's an old Games Workshop game, fantasy football, real fantasy football, orcs and dwarves. It's awesome. A new version is available. I have this much of it on my shelves. I wish I had this much of it on my shelves because I love that game, but it's just not that popular. So what are my decision processes?
how do you know that it's popular?
First of all, the buzz is out there and I'm hearing it from customers. All right, my customers are my best resource because if I'm starting to get pre-orders for something, that means it's popular. We will often order based on pre-orders, and I encourage my customers all the time, give me your pre-orders. Tell me what you want, because if I have 10 pre-orders for something, that means I need to bring in 24 of it. All right, if I have 1 pre-order or no pre-orders, I'll maybe get that 1 copy to make that person happy, or maybe 2 copies for 1 for the shelf, or maybe I just won't bother. All right. Sometimes it is just industry knowledge, a lot of times it's gut. And I hear lately that that's a pretty good thing to have. It's a Trump joke, sorry. I hear that. Sorry. It really is. It's gut. It's an art. It's not a science. Knowing certain names, certain companies, certain taglines. If it says Star Wars on it, yeah, it's going to be great. Bring it on in, right? Could be junk. Usually not. Yeah, I mean, if it's got Cthulhu on it, another Cthulhu, it's like, then I'm going to take a much harder look at it and say, okay, does this really need to go in with the other 18 Cthulhu games on my shelf? I don't know if that helps answer your question. So, yeah. I mean, I wish I had I go through this exact process, and a lot of times I'll bring in a couple and see how it does, and then I'll bring in 8 more. Sometimes I take a chance and I say, oh man, sometimes I decide that I'm the taste maker, okay? I think that this game, Dice Forge, is a game that came out about a year or so ago, where you are making your little dice, and you take a side off the dice and replace it with a better side. I saw that at the Gamma Trade show, and I said, that's the game that I'm going to say is cool. And I bought in 48 copies or something like that, or no, 70 something copies. And I decided, and that was our sort of holiday special, and this is the game that we decided is the cool game. Now I'm just waiting for an expansion. So that happens too. Dragon Castle was my one this year, where it's like mahjong tiles when you're making little mini castles off your big castle. So,
Do you specifically pay attention to reviewers?
Do I pay attention to reviewers? Some. I pay attention to Tom Vassell only because he has a very big following. That's why I pay attention to Shut Up and Sit Down because I respect their opinions. Take that sentence as you will. Yes?
So, given the amount of space that you need to devote to evergreens and other things that you think are going to be successful, how much room do you have to take a chance with? Right? All of these things competing, you mentioned all those SKUs.
Yeah.
How much do you risk?
How much do I risk lately? Less and less all the time. The obvious thing to bring in is, there's always an obvious thing to bring in. Oh, I better get a lot of Betrayal Legacy, right? That's, Legacy is the new black, right? So now Roll and Rights are the new black. So, yeah, I mean, I knew that I had to have dedicated shelf space for that. Yeah, but sometimes it's just like, honestly, sometimes it's like, oh, our horror section looks terrible right now. Let's just order some, Shadows Over or whatever, and put that in the spot because we've sold everything and we're just low, and the things I really want to sell are out of stock, that kind of stuff. And so sometimes it's that. It really is. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and I still I still make mistakes all the time. Fortunately, my discount shelf, my clearance section is fairly light, but there are things that I tell you what, every year I have the 12 sales of Christmas, and I put something on special every day before the holiday, and I know a few things that are going to get a great discount on that day, right, where I've just over-ordered. I did not anticipate the demand, or I thought it would be a lot better than it would be. Yeah, and sometimes I get like snowballed. Sometimes a game comes out, my finger was not on that pulse. I never really paid attention to it, and it comes out, and I get 10 calls. Do you have XYZ in stock? And I'm like, I've never heard of this game. Let's go see if we can get some. And oh, guess what? It's all sold out already because no one prints enough games because of scared money, and I'm out. But that's okay. I got 3,000 other things I can sell them. So that's the card. Yeah. Yes.
But is there like an option?
No. What I usually see with a Kickstarter, what I personally like is, and if you go to my website, imboardgames.com, and in the top corner there is a news, and you drop that down, and there's Kickstarters we are backing, and it's a little out of date because I just opened a store. But you can look at and I say, this, yes, this, no. And look at the ones that I said yes to, and you can go back and look at there.
From the seller point of view,
But
you don't
But basically what I'm looking for is a retailer level that's maybe $100 or $10 or $5 or $50 or whatever.
So it's one of the options.
It's one of the options, and then I'm in your system, and then you can tag me, and then I expect to have a backer kit. I'm pretty sure that's like I've got. Do I have that in here? I think we're on the questions. Yeah. So then later on in the backer kit, I go in there and I have my $100 balance, and I buy my 48 copies and my add-ons and all that kind of stuff, and I pay you the balance, and I want to do that shortly before it actually ships. I am not, I think I had a slide for this, and maybe I passed it by. I am not in business to invest in you. I'm sorry. I'm in business to invest in my store. And so I don't want to tie up $1,000 for a year because that $1,000, I can roll that $1,000 several times over during that time. So there's a kind of a give and take there. But yeah, that's usually what I like to see. And I'll tell you, because we get hit with a lot of people with a lot of these projects, be diligent with retailers, because the email is the way to go, and it's easy to miss an email when you have hundreds a day. So yeah, we do have time for questions. I have about 9 minutes. So
Say your domain one more time.
I'm boardgames.com. So I am BOARDGAMES.com. Yeah. And please visit the store if you have time, because we're pretty good. Yeah.
Do you take pre-orders of Kickstarter games from individual people?
Yes. So I will. So the question is, do I take pre-orders of Kickstarter games? Yes, I do. Like when a new CMON thing comes out or something that's like, I will say, we are backing this. You can back it through us if you want to. You know, you're going to, and I've already done my homework to make sure that you are giving me the terms I want, the shipping I need, all the stretch goals, the same stuff. You know, I've, you know, so the faster you tell me that information, like if I have to ask for it, I'm less likely to ask for it these days. But and I will if my customers are asking me. But if you say, here are the retailer's terms, like that Vast one, there they are. Awesome. Now, I understand you may not want to give that information on your Facebook page. Put an email address. Retailers, email us, and we'll email you the stuff back. Okay? But yes, I do take pre-orders. I will announce we're taking like with CMON, I am allowed up to 12 pledges. First 12 people get it, give us a call. I personally do not make people prepay. Other stores will. If you know, I don't get screwed over that way. But yes, I try to actively, I want to sell the things that I'm bringing in. So I try to actively get pre-orders for those. And sometimes if it's still in the open period, and usually because I don't have to finalize how many I'm really buying until maybe 6 weeks or a month before it ships, then I can keep taking pre-orders even after the Kickstarter has closed. And that helps me determine, I have 6 people who want that, I better order 12 or 18 or something like that. Does that help? Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Do extra advertising materials in the physical pledges add value for you? So say you have a small box game, it does like a cardboard stand-up shelf advertising thing.
If
Value for you.
yes, asterisk. You know, a good example is the Fantasy Trip. Steve Jackson Games just did a Kickstarter to redo the Fantasy Trip, ancient old board game from way back, early RPG-ish kind of game. And in the retailer stuff was a little cardboard display to put the stuff in a shelf counter. That's nice. I don't expect it. You know, if you say, plus we're going to give you a demo copy, you know, think of your deal, right? Buy a case, but charge me for 5 copies and mark 1 demo, or don't mark 1 demo, whatever. And we'll give you a demo copy. That has a lot of value with we retailers. That's nice. So I think demo copies are more valuable, but marketing materials, if it's a poster, I don't care. Shelf talkers, you know, but it's got to be kind of sexy for me to want to use it, because I get a lot of junk, and I end up throwing a lot of it away. Even from people like Wizards of the Coast, they give me stuff all the time, and I'm like, eh. You know, so, and that's just me. I'm not a store that wallpapers their place with, you know, pictures of, anyway. So, yeah, it depends. Anyone else? I got a couple more minutes. Yes, sir.
Why does offering a free expansion not lower the perceived value or
Because they said it was okay. So in that one where they give away the $40 expansion, they basically said it's a stretch goal. It's an add-on. It's a thing. So it's a gift. Thank you. It's a gift.
Why isn't the discount a gift?
Because a discount is changing the value. Okay. It's a weird thing. All right. So under the Christmas tree or the holiday whatever you have, you know, I say I give you a present, or I give you something that is an annual commitment. I give you a puppy, okay? I've given you responsibility. Like you think, oh, there's a lot of value there, you know, but it's cost me. You know, it's a mental. It really is psychology. All right. I said it's $40, and I'm not making you pay for it, but someday someone will have to pay for it, and when they do, it'll be $40. But right now I'm saying someday someone is going to pay for it and it'll be $50, but I'm going to give it to you for $40. Then suddenly I'm a used car salesman, and the value of that car, I got it for $40. You know, it's a $40 game. How many times do you go or you hear like, I bought these on sale. Do you know how much they're worth? Okay. The price tag says $250, but I got it for $100. It's worth $250. No, it's worth $100. That's how much you paid for it. Okay? And later on, when it's time to resell that or use it or something like that, I got it for $100. So it really is a psychology thing. It really is. But mostly, you don't need to do it. It's money on the table. It's profit you are burning up. Pure profit that you are throwing away. That's my case. That is my opinion. Bryan Winter's opinion. That is mine and mine alone. But yeah, that's the thing. So I have 1 minute. One more question. Yes, sir.
So when and how would you say is the best way to contact a retailer? Would you say definitely not until you have all of those specifics planned out? And would emails work, or would you prefer someone like walk directly into your store and talk to you face to face?
You can certainly walk into my store, but realize that, okay, the question was, what's the best way to engage the retailer? There are a couple of Facebook groups are good. Don't go to my page and advertise your game on my page without my knowledge. You will never see a dime from me. But there's a couple Facebook groups, retailers that back Kickstarters. Look for that one. Just put it on Facebook, or not Facebook. Just put it on Kickstarter, because a lot of those of us who have the time will look and see what's new on Kickstarter today. And if it looks interesting, then we'll see if there's a retail tier, and if there's not, we'll go on to the next one, because there's a next one. So that's the best way. You can certainly do an email campaign. Be blunt, be brief, be to the point, and say thank you, and I won't bother you again. You know, hey, you know, I got this Kickstarter. You might be interested. We have a retail. Say it right in front. We have a retail tier. Here's what it is. Lay it out. And if you're interested, go here, fill out this form, email me back, whatever. And if you don't hear back, maybe a couple weeks later, throw another email and say, hey, just in case you didn't get a chance to get to it, this is my last time I'm going to tell you. Respect that I am a very, very busy person, and I am hearing it from every angle. Okay, do I have time for one more question, JT?
It's lunch after this.
It's lunch after this, so if you're tired of hearing me talk, you can go eat. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Is there any use in kind of additional informational materials to retailers, like the sell sheets that we send to distributors or similar?
Are sell sheets and other informational materials helpful as an email attachment?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if it's with, I've already bought the game, so I don't need it then. If it's in a distributor pack, it's like value pack, you know, in the mailbox. It's like, oh, these I'm not even going to open it, you know. So I mean, it could. My answer is it very well could be, but it's not something that I'm necessarily looking for. Is if you have an email with some pictures and some information, as long as the information is presented to me in some way, that's cool. But I do need, but I also want to know, like, how good's your art? How good are the, what's your process? If you have a Kickstarter that's hundreds of figures and all this stuff and expansions, and it'll be out next May, and you're a first timer, you're lying to yourself and everyone else. And I know that, you know, I don't back those. Frankly, you know, there will be times where I say, I don't trust that. Hey, my backup has happened.
Is everything you're saying here much more about retail than distribution?
Yes. Yes, distributors don't care about any of that stuff. Distributors want, asterisk, Bryan Winter's opinion. Distributors want to bring in your product, resell your product over and over again, and that's all they want. They are a clearinghouse. You know, ideally you'll get to a point where they want to become more partners and they want to be more engaged in the selling process and things like that. They're in business to sell things too, and they have a much more limited and much more interesting thing, but they have much fewer resources, much less overhead, but also much less margin. And so, you know, they're mostly about bringing it in the back door and sending it out the front door. I would feel, I mean, distributors are very, very busy. It's going to be hard for you to get an audience with them. Go to Gamma.
We have a YouTube video on the Gatecrafters YouTube channel where a distributor was at CrafterCon and actually told you the answer to that question and a whole bunch of others.
Yes.
If you're looking for distributor-specific stuff, go to the Gamecrafters YouTube channel and
The Gamecrafters YouTube channel, because there is an old seminar that from a distributor that answers that. Yeah. Yes, which distributor?
ACD.
ACD is one of my top guys. They're here in town, and I love ACD. So yeah, they know what they're talking about.
There's a YouTube playlist for CrafterCon.
YouTube playlist for CrafterCon.
Yep.
Am I on it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Thanks very much. I appreciate yeah.